Hello everyone, my name is Anil Sharma Kadel and I'm really excited that you guys found this video. Today we'll be talking about process failure modes effect analysis, or in a short form it's called pFMEA, and this is one of the document that is widely used to conduct risk management activities in medical device and pharmaceutical industry. Today we'll not only be talking about what pFMEA are, but we'll also be learning how to create it from scratch. And on top of that, we'll also be discussing what design failure mode effect analysis or dFMEA is, and we'll also cover a little bit about uFMEA, which is user failure mode effect analysis. That being said, let's go ahead and head to the computer and get started.
Lecture. So today we're going to be learning about pFMEA and dFMEA and also uFMEA. So to kind of give you a little context, what is pFMEA? It's a process failure mode effect analysis. So any failure mode you have in process, what is going to be the effect? You analyze that, right? That's the best way you could put it. And what is dFMEA? Design failure mode effects analysis. If the design were to fail, failure mode, right? What is going to be the effect? So you analyze that. And user, uFMEA. If user, what failure mode can a user have? And look at the effect and analyze that. So that's the definition, and it's a very simple, easy to understand that I derived myself just now. So if you ever get confused of what pFMEA is, process failure modes. There's so many ways the process can fail, and what is going to be the effect of that, right? We analyze what is going to be the harms and hazards if the process were to fail. That's the pFMEA. And why do you do that? So as we saw in our risk management process in ISO, we need to do risk analysis, risk evaluation, risk control, and residual risk evaluation. So there's 4 things that it wants us to do. The great thing about pFMEA is even if it's a long document, it will help us accomplish this, right? So what do I mean by that? So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So I have made this pFMEA and even dFMEA in the same thing that I can kind of show it to you guys. So this is a typical pFMEA type of chart that you can make in Excel sheet. I can pull up the one that I made actually. So pFMEA and dFMEA. So this is the one that I made. It only has 3 lines. So if you recall, what is pFMEA? Process failure modes, right? There's so many processes in your manufacturing process or logistic process or shipping process. Anything can fail, and that can introduce hazard or harms in your medical products or pharmaceuticals. So we need to kind of list all the process step by step. Even if your raw material is coming from outside of the country, that's still transportation, right? How's that going to affect your device? You need to brainstorm that. So that's a process step. So you go ahead, and I made a step first. I guess now you guys can learn how to even make the pFMEA. First you put 2 steps, and I put 10, 20, 30, 40 number instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, because in later down the road from complaint analysis or because of the trending, if we see new harms or new process addition, if we see that, then we need to add it in our pFMEA risk management files, right? So what we can do is we can insert, and now that new line would be 15. So I didn't have to do 1.5, right? And if I need to add anything from 10 to 15, it would be 12.12, for example. So that's the good thing of doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And now second step, you define the work instruction number. Work instruction 001 or whatever work instruction you guys are doing. One thing I want to note is I have seen people only use manufacturing line processes, whatever happens in manufacturing, but the best way to make pFMEA is to kind of take the process from the start, where the raw materials is coming from, how is it coming, what happens when you guys receive it, what happens in the inspection, incoming inspection, what happens if the thing was damaged, the boxes that it came with, right? So those are the process as well. So it is very important to analyze those things, because that can affect that can create harm on the final product. So don't just do manufacturing, just do all. That's why you have the work instruction numbers there, right? You can have one for the shipping, one for the raw product QC inspection, one for the manufacturing process work instruction, right? So that's a little bit about work instructions. And now we have process steps. So recall, what is pFMEA? Process failure modes, right? So this, you have to write the process. The process that I chose was they're welding it, the front and back cover, maybe of that thing that they put the arm, or what they put it in the arm steel or something. What is the hazard? Now the next one would be, you got the process step, now it's a failure mode. What would be the failure mode is also a hazard, which could result to harm, right? So what is hazard? That's when your dictionary comes very very handy. So hazard is anything potential source of harm, right? Potential failure is a hazard because that would cause harm. So incomplete weld, right? So if the welder is not working, of course it's going to be incomplete weld. And for example, if there was some water that was supposed to, or some liquid that was supposed to be entrapped between those covers for some cooling or something, then what you're going to have with the incomplete weld is leak. So that's a hazardous situation, right? So you're going to have a leak that you didn't expect it. And now harm. So what was hazard? Resulting to harm, right? So the patient will be exposed to a solvent which would have otherwise been trapped inside the back and front cover if the process would have worked fine. But if since the process didn't work as expected, it had failure modes, now the risk would be patient would be exposed to the liquid, right? And for example, now this is our time. This is all made up, right? This is not even a real product. But I'm saying, okay, this solvent was acid, for example. Now the severity is determined by what is that solvent, what is the effect of that solvent to the patient, where is it affecting, is it just touching or is it inhaling, right? So you will know that better than anyone else because that's your product. So for me, I just put it like, okay, I assumed it's acid, and then 4. If it even touches a little bit, maybe it'll have some burn or something, it's not good. So 4, we shouldn't be having this. And then now the probability of occurrence. So it looks like, our welder is pretty good. It only happens 2 out of 100. But still that's, so when we multiply initial level of risk times the probability, that's 0.08, 0.02 times 4. So now, like how I've considered my low risk is 0 to 10, 0.0 to 0.10, right? And this is completely made up. This could have been higher based on if the probability, if this severity was very bad, then this could have been yellow or even red, but it depends. For me, it's like, okay, this is low level. Now I would need to, no matter what kind of risk it is, we need to control it, right? So we did a validation studies. In the equipment validation, we did 500 parts and there was no failures, and that's why we passed. And on top of that, now those parts, we don't make it, we buy it from third-party vendors, right? So then we also have established a critical inspection point that our QC team inspects the parts whenever they come in-house, right? What do they check for those parts? If the back cover and the front cover have a complete sealing surface, otherwise the welder is not going to work. So they are looking for that. And basically they will release the product based on the inspection passing criteria, right? And that's a control, that's a big control. Now we're checking our product. And not only that, now we also have in-process checks on manufacturing. So, and we have a batch record form that writes, hey, was the back cover and the front cover welded properly? Did it fill any water, right? So we have all these controls that we placed. And why do you need control? Remember, risk control. We need to have that. So this is from, so we analyzed risk basically because of the process failure. We evaluated, how did we evaluate it? Severity, how much its severity would be. We got the probability from how much it was failing in the past, and we controlled the risk, right? By putting the risk control in place, which if you guys can see, is right there. And now after we place all of this, now we feel confident, hey, I feel like we decreased the severity because now Now it's not going to happen that often, right? And the severity is tricky. If you're thinking harms is severity, no matter what kind of controls you put, harm is still going to be harm. If it leaks and touches the patient, it's still going to be same severity. So in this case, what might happen is your severity might still be 4, but then once you implemented a control, you're going to start seeing less probability, right? So maybe you insert 1 and then P2 after control, right? So that would be 0.01 now, right? So sorry, I'm changing it in real time, 0.04. So look how it was 0.08 before, but after control it's happened less in the field. We don't get no complaints of this happening. We don't get no non-conformance. We don't get no defects. We haven't got no defects. So our probability of occurrence P2 decreased. So that means that P2 times S2 got decreased, right? So that's how you decreased your risk, and that's all it is. That's all you do. It's very simple, right? So I'll recap step 10 10 10. That's the way most companies do. You can do however you want, 100 100 100. Work instruction, write the work instruction, write steps, every steps that happens everywhere. Now brainstorm what could go wrong. It don't have to happen. If it has happened before, awesome, you already have a hazard, a known hazard. But if you don't have any known hazard for that, for example, our step would have been put a cap on a bottle, for example. And like, even though we have never failed to not put a cap on the bottle, we have to kind of see unforeseeable circumstance, right? Foreseeable, basically what could go wrong. So okay, the cap might not be on. There's lack of cap. There's no cap, and what can happen? Maybe even if it's an automated process, what is the bin that the machine gets the cap from is empty. So now it's thinking that it's putting cap, but there was no cap on the bin that it's picking the cap from. So that could be the possible. So no cap in the bins. Harm is there will be a spill of the pharmaceuticals, right? Severity of harm, possibly it will just go in one of the boxes, so it's just going to spill. This our pharmaceutical is not bad, it's not going to affect the environment, it has no effect when it's touching, so severity would be maybe 1 or even 2, right? Probability of occurrence, maybe we haven't seen that. So that's how you kind of verify, right? And even though it's very low severity, you still put trainings because you want to reduce the overall risk. You don't want to think like, oh, it's low, I'm not going to put any controls. If you put controls, it looks good that you're taking care of your processes and risk. So after that, you have new severity, and it might be new severity or even old. And P2 would be if the probability has decreased. How you know is you're collecting data through post-market surveillance. And why do you need to collect data? Because our standard says so, production and post-production activities, right? So, and now you have new levels of risk, which is reduced. It's also called residual risk, right? This is initial risk, this is residual risk. And how do I know this term? Because it's defined on the ISO 13485, right? So that's all for pFMEA, and maybe I'll make another video for uFMEA and dFMEA. The next slide will be the same thing.
I hope you guys liked the video and the lecture, and I hope it was very informative for you guys. If you want to learn in depth about the risk management activities that you need to do for medical device and pharmaceutical industry, I have a full length course on Udemy. It is 4.5 hours long, and we cover everything that you guys need to know about how to create risk management file as well as the standards such as ISO 14971. And we'll also be going in depth on the QMS system that medical device and pharma industry needs to follow. So that being said, go ahead and click on the link down below to check out the course. Anyways, if you like this video, support this YouTube video by clicking the like or subscribing to my channel. Thank you.